I'm Vince Kadlubek. I'm founder and director at Meow Wolf.
What is Meow Wolf?
Yeah, what is Meow Wolf? That's a really good question. It's a tough question to answer. You know, we're a business. We're a business in Santa Fe, New Mexico that produces large-scale, immersive, interactive art exhibitions. But we're also we're a social group. We're a bunch of artists. We're a bunch of creators, innovators. You know, we're a movement. You know, I think ultimately, like, our group probably would identify itself as people who want to change the world. And right now, the way to do that is by building these large-scale, crazy attractions. But really, our heart is in social impact and making the world a more imaginative place.
What was the inspiration behind the creation of Meow Wolf? And can you tell us a little bit about the origin story?
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration, like, we were here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is like a very artful, creative city. And we were all in our 20s, but we were having a hard time finding like venues to show our work. Galleries didn't really want to allow us to participate, or they like weren't interested in our work. Museums, obviously, or like sites weren't really into our work. And so rather than like waiting around to be invited into other people's spaces, we decided to just start our own space. And so we rented out a room, 1,000 square feet. We like put our own money into it, and it kind of became a clubhouse. It's like we started off as like a clubhouse. And we would go to work, 9 to 5. And then after we get off of work, we would go over to Meow Wolf and we would make art, and we'd play music, and we would drink beer and smoke weed, and we would like basically just hang out. And so it was really because we wanted to belong, and we wanted to have a venue for our voice when nobody else was really giving us that space. And yeah, that's how it started. It was about 6 of us, really at the core of the collective. That grew to 12, 15, 20. And then before you knew it, we had hundreds of people who were part of Meow Wolf in one form or fashion.
How does XR impact your strategy at Meow Wolf?
So Meow Wolf is all about taking people into their imagination. We pull from our imagination these incredible, crazy, immersive worlds, and we do it in hopes that we inspire other people to venture into their own imagination and to pull from their imagination worlds for others as well. So it's like we want to inspire creativity in people's lives, and we want their imagination to transform the world around them. And so with that in mind, like, XR is an incredibly important tool or set of tools to express the imagination and to take people further into the dream. And I think that like we're pretty set on this idea that that human progress is leading us towards a dream state, and that within our dream state, we have the ability to be our highest self, which is our creator self. And VR, AR, XR are the tool set that allows for that expression, for that creative expression to happen at monumental levels. So I personally think that like VR, that these tools are best when they're anchored to space, when they're anchored to reality, because they're real at that time. There's a reality to the virtuality that can't be really duplicated otherwise. And so, Meow Wolf builds out these big spaces, these big physical spaces, but we all see a roadmap that intersects with XR integrating into these physical spaces.
And that's a good segue into what is next for Meow Wolf.
Yeah, Meow Wolf's doing a lot of things right now. I mean, we have a couple of exhibitions opening here soon. We have an exhibition in Las Vegas, Nevada, and an exhibition in Denver that will both be opening in 2021. So that's what we're focused on right now. We'll continue to do more exhibitions around the country and around the world, these like large scale permanent things. But, I think that like we have interest in more than just doing these one-off projects. I think we have interest in doing, building an entire connective dreamscape where you have physical anchors, you have digital anchors, you have basically you build in like constructing a global environment for where creativity can be expressed and experienced. So that's the big goal. That's the big dream, is, to layer on top of reality an accessible reality that is wildly imaginative at every turn and across verticals. So it's not just the attraction in Santa Fe or Vegas or Denver or New York or LA or London or whatever. It's also the restaurant, and it's also the hotel, and it's also the park, and it's your own living room. It's the creativity and imagination can be expressed and experienced across all space. Like it always kind of frustrated me that Disneyland was this like once in a lifetime weekend, and it's like, why does it not spill out into reality? Like we all want it. We all want this like imaginative play space, right? I mean, but yet it's all kind of like, situated in the corner of Anaheim. And so like, I would love to be able to be part of a creative movement with Meow Wolf that integrates itself into all forms of reality, is seen as a component of life, not an escape, not like a weekend getaway.
What advice would you have for new artists looking to break into immersive entertainment?
There's going to be a real need for physical immersive environments. There's going to be plenty of work going into immersive virtual environments, but like the world outside, the physical world outside is going to be decimated by COVID, and there's going to be square footage upon square footage that needs solution. And it's not going to be the Sears box, and it's not going to be the movie theater. It's not going to be the Gap. What's going to fill the space, what's going to be effective in filling the space and in attracting an audience, is going to be remarkable immersive spaces that you can take pictures of, that you can feel good vibes in, you can have good food and drink, you can explore through, you can discover, you can play. And so that, I would encourage people, if they want to get into the immersive space, is to really focus on physical interiors. Because that's really where like there's going to be a need in the market, and then partner with VR, then kind of integrate VR and XR into those physical spaces. But like, let's anchor this to physical space. And that happens to also be where there's a lot of money too. Like it's a lot of money with developers, a lot of money with shopping centers. They can't let their real estate go to waste. And so there's going to be capital available. And I'd say start designing those spaces, partner, and also partner. Like you got to learn to collaborate, because you can't do it all, especially immersive spaces, especially like one brain cannot do an immersive space. You need like the audio people, the visual people, the sculptors, the artists, the experience designers, the technologists, the human centered designers, the community centered designers. Like you need a team to come together and make really effective immersive spaces. So like get out of your own shell and like reach out to others, When we decided to create a business out of Meow Wolf, I assumed the role of a CEO at that time. And I went out to raise some money and to find partners. Actually, one of the first partners I found was George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones. And it's kind of this miraculous moment where the author of Game of Thrones said that he would buy a building and lease it to us. And that kind of set the whole thing in motion for the business. That's where we ended up creating our first permanent exhibition, which is still here in Santa Fe, called the House of Eternal Return. But I was the CEO for 4 or 5 years for Meow Wolf as we opened our doors and as we raised more money and expanded to Vegas and Denver. And I built an amazing team around me, and we put a lot of work into getting these exhibitions to where they're at. But I realized after raising a good amount of money that I was overwhelmed. Like I couldn't deliver on, like I myself could not be the leader of a company and deliver on the promises that we had made. And that's just the honest truth. Like I had built something much bigger than I had the ability to handle. Luckily, I had hired some really great people. And so they took over Meow Wolf, and they're running it tremendously, getting us to the finish line in Vegas, getting to the finish line in Denver. And I was able to move out of the CEO position and move into a consulting position with the company, and allow for myself to be a bit more on the creative side and philosophical side, the theoretical side of things. And it's been awesome. That's been the last 6 months for me, has been working as a consultant for the company, for Meow Wolf. And that allowed me to, then start thinking about the consultancy as like a whole thing. Like if I have a client like Meow Wolf, what are other clients that I might bring in? And what's my thesis behind my consultancy? And so I ended up calling the consulting group Spatial Activations, because what I learned while I was with Meow Wolf for those 5 years as CEO was that like we created a phenomena simply because we put amazing art inside of a building. And that created lines around the block, that created 500,000 visitors a year, that like drew a huge crowds from around the country. And it got me thinking about how like there's so many developments, there's so many developers, shopping malls, strip malls, retail spaces that are dying to get foot traffic, and they have no idea how to do it. Yet Meow Wolf does this one thing at an old bowling alley, and we're getting tons of foot traffic. So I started to think about like, how important art and creativity is to foot traffic, how important, things you can take pictures of, events like parties, events, music shows, how important like interesting food is, and just started to form like a thesis around what does it mean to activate space? Like how do you activate space to then draw people in? And I think at the core of it's imagination. Like you need imaginative stuff. People are attracted to imaginative stuff. They're not attracted to the Chili's and the Applebee's and the Olive Garden anymore. Like they're attracted to imaginative restaurants and food and beverage options. They're not attracted to, just a normal retail shop. They're attracted to, imaginative play spaces. So I brought together a group of consultants who are all kind of part of the team, who are experts in food and beverage, family entertainment, themed attraction, art creativity, and then a really important one being spatial computing. Because over the next decade, the people who own space in this world are going to need help understanding what spatial computing can do for them. It's going to be the same kind of gold rush that happened with the World Wide Web, where like at first nobody thought they needed a website, and then 15 years later everybody needs a website. And so it's going to be the same thing with spatial computing. At first you don't know what spatial computing can do for you, but then everybody who owns space is going to say, I need my own spatial computing program. And so we're starting right now to get people up to speed as to like what spatial computing means, what it can deliver to their users, how it can create efficiencies, and how it can make the user experience just more enjoyable, more fun, more imaginative. So that's kind of where we're at. We're speaking a language that people really aren't speaking in the world of commercial development. The word attraction doesn't even get used much. And so when we talk about spatial activations, it seems very like general and vague, but actually it's like a very specific focus. It's awesome being part of DreamlandXR. It's part of CES. Thank you to the CES audience for giving me some time here. And yeah, I hope all y'all can come out to Santa Fe, to Vegas, to Denver. Come check out Meow Wolf. It's gonna blow your mind. You know, all of them. They're all different. You go to all three of them. And yeah, this has been really fun. And I hope we can all work to make the world a more imaginative place. To learn more about Meow Wolf, please visit www.meowwolf.com or visit us on Facebook or Instagram.